Roman Reigns.
Summer 2020, a global pandemic raged. WWE creative decisions bordered on absurdity, and Roman Reigns was about to change professional wrestling forever. When he emerged from a 4-month absence at SummerSlam 2020, few could have predicted what would follow. This wasn't the same Roman Reigns fans had rejected for years. The forced babyface wearing a bulletproof vest and spouting predictable catchphrases. No, but this was something entirely different. You'll never see it coming. That was SummerSlam's tagline that year, and how prophetic those words would become. What unfolded over the next 1,315 days wasn't just a championship reign. It was a masterclass in character evolution, long-term storytelling, and family drama that redefined what modern wrestling could be. The tribal chief, the head of the table, the greatest of all time. Roman Reigns transformed from WWE's most polarizing figure into an undeniable legend through manipulation, brutality, and an unwavering belief in his bloodline. This is the story of how one man's heel turn sparked wrestling's most compelling saga in decades, building an empire of family loyalty, only to watch it crumble beneath the weight of its own complexity. From Paul Heyman's shocking alliance to The Rock's return, from Sami Zayn's heartbreaking betrayal to Cody Rhodes' ultimate triumph, this is the complete chronicle of professional wrestling's most dominant championship reign of the modern era. Welcome to the Bloodline Era.
The Bloodline has all the damn gold!
Late summer 2020, a world gripped by a pandemic while WWE spiraled into creative madness. Eyeball extractions, adult-teen feuds, and karaoke battles dominated programming. Pay-per-views flaunted ridiculous taglines like the horror show at Extreme Rules and SummerSlam's eerily prophetic, "You'll never see it coming." And truly, nobody saw it coming. As Bray Wyatt celebrated his Universal Championship victory over Braun Strowman, a shadow emerged from backstage. Roman Reigns returning after 4 months away. This was the man WWE fans had rejected for years. The force-fed babyface whose push triggered arena-wide boos and remote reaching for mute buttons. The Golden Boy, whose stubbornly heroic character had fans practically begging for a heel turn. Then came SmackDown, just before Payback. The main event was a triple threat for the Universal title. Adam Pearce got everyone's signatures, except Reigns, who wanted changes. His contract would run through his new special counsel, Paul Heyman. This moment signaled that yes, he was a heel now. But with Heyman, the stakes were raised. At Payback, Reigns didn't enter the match until Strowman and Wyatt had destroyed each other. He signed the contract at the top of the ramp, steel chair in hand. And minutes later, he was champion. Usually, after winning a title, the previous champion wants a rematch. Surprisingly, that didn't happen here. Instead, Paul Heyman laid the groundwork for this new character, built on family, tradition, and legacy. This was no longer the big dog. This was the tribal chief. It's funny how things work out. A day before SummerSlam, WWE revealed the Thunderdome. Looking back, this era provided the perfect stage for Reigns. The controlled crowd reactions, the eerie silence, it all heightened his presence. Later, promos became repetitive. Acknowledge me? You can't beat me. But in the beginning, everything felt fresh. A new character like this had to hit the ground running, and his first major feud with Jey Uso cemented that. Jey won a fatal 4-way to become #1 contender. At the time, the easy assumption was another can they coexist story. WWE had long been guilty of wishy-washy storytelling. Starting one thing, dropping it 2 weeks later, then gaslighting fans into thinking they were dumb for expecting continuity. But this had depth. Reigns became the ultimate gaslighter. He told Jey to his face that he was proud of him, but behind his back believed he was immature and unworthy. The history of the NOI family played into it. Roman was destined to be a god, while Jey was a tag team wrestler never near tribal chief status. Roman claimed their match would be fought with honor and pride. It was not. Jey fought for his dreams, but Reigns used his own family, attitude, and values against him. Now, without his vest, Reigns dominated, but Uso refused to quit. Roman demanded to be acknowledged as the head of the table, but Jey's pride kept him from saying the words. Finally, Jimmy Uso threw in the towel, unable to watch his twin suffer. This was the birth of Acknowledge Me. Next was Kevin Owens. Their last man standing match at the Rumble had Owens bringing his usual recklessness, getting thrown off the stage, hit by a golf cart, and crashing off a forklift. The most infamous moment came when Reigns got handcuffed to the lighting rig and Heyman struggled to unhook him. Reigns eventually choked Owens out, securing another win in what remains one of his most underappreciated rivalries. From there, it was off to WrestleMania 37 in Tampa. Reigns steamrolled everyone leading up to it, channeling his 2007 Cena energy. Edge won the Rumble, but before making a decision, he waited for Elimination Chamber, where Heyman finagled things so Roman would face the winner immediately after the grueling match. Daniel Bryan won, only to be destroyed in under 2 minutes. It was Roman's weakest title defense, quality-wise, but it was just a bridge to something bigger. Bryan wanted a rematch, and earned it at Fastlane by beating Jey Uso. Edge, furious that his one-on-one shot was in jeopardy, became the special enforcer. Bryan technically made Roman tap, but the ref missed it. Chaos ensued. Edge snapped and Roman barely survived. The WrestleMania match was now a triple threat. At the time, it felt like Bryan was shoehorned in. Many thought it was Edge's moment. 10 years to the day of his retirement, but once the match happened, it was undeniable. The Shield music hit one last time in front of a crowd. 3 men in that group, 3 men in this match. The bout was an all-time classic. Chaotic, emotional, and unpredictable. In the end, Reigns pinned both challengers simultaneously, cementing his dominance. Next on the list was Clash at the Castle 2022 against Drew McIntyre. McIntyre had been built up as a more than formidable challenger, one who, had they chosen to end Roman's reign here, few would have complained. This rivalry had been revisited multiple times, from their Survivor Series clash to a tag match at WrestleMania Backlash, which is still a terrible name for a pay-per-view. After winning a #1 contenders match, Drew's story was all about redemption, finally getting the moment that had eluded him during the pandemic. When it should have been his time, there was no crowd, no pyro, no grand celebration. This event felt like his WrestleMania. Atmosphere was electric, the crowd was molten hot, ready for Drew to pull off the impossible. Near fall after near fall made it feel like the perfect time for a title change. Shockingly, this was WWE's first UK stadium event since SummerSlam 1992, yet the hype made it feel like an annual tradition. Something special was in the air that night. But what's a villain supposed to do? Crush dreams. Solo Sikoa debuted to cost McIntyre the match, leaving the audience heartbroken. Roman had given them hope, only to rip it away at the last second. As for the rest of 2022, Reigns had a psychological thriller of a match with Seth Rollins, a forgettable bout with Goldberg, a title-for-title dud against Lesnar, a solid TV match against Matt Riddle, an all-time classic last man standing match at SummerSlam, and a spectacle of a main event at Clash at the Castle. To close out the year, just a casual banger with Logan Paul set up appear in podcast. If you noticed, the Bloodline storytelling had been on pause for a bit. By 2022, the faction was solidified, but the deeper drama had not fully kicked in. That changed heading into 2023. At Survivor Series War Games 2022, Reigns led the Bloodline, now with Sami Zayn against Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Butch, and Kevin Owens. Zayn proved his loyalty by low-blowing Owens, securing the win. At first, Sami seemed like comedic relief in a saga built on tradition and family, but within months, he became WWE's hottest act. On Owens' side, he continuously warned Sami that Roman was using him. History backed him up. Back in 2020, Reigns had brutalized Owens and manipulated everyone in his path. After Sami was pinned in a tag match, Reigns started questioning his commitment. He had one final test at the Royal Rumble. The Rumble match itself was a means to an end. The real story was what happened after. Following Roman's win, the Bloodline mercilessly attacked Owens, handcuffing him to the ropes. Sami was given a command: finish the job and prove his loyalty, but he couldn't. Instead, he did the unthinkable, striking Reigns in the back with a chair. The crowd's deafening reactions said it all. This moment set up everything. Sami's exit from the Bloodline, his complicated friendship with Jey Uso, and Roman's ongoing steel chair trauma. WrestleMania 39 became Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. But before we got there, Sami had one more stop. Elimination Chamber 2023 in his hometown of Montreal. The crowd was behind him in a way few wrestlers ever experience. Fans debated countless ways for WWE to split the belts. Could Sami win one title while Roman kept the other? But the reality was simple. Anyone who brushed shoulders with Reigns in this storyline was elevated. Owens and Zayn did not just fade into the background. They became even bigger stars. The match itself had everything: high stakes, near falls, Jey Uso's involvement, and an absolutely nuclear crowd. The Montreal versus Roman atmosphere rivaled One Night Stand 2006 with Cena versus RVD. WWE was building something special here. But despite a valiant fight, Sami fell to the tribal chief, setting the stage for an emotional reunion with Kevin Owens, and a bigger fight to come. And now, it was time for the battle of wrestling's royal families. Reigns versus Rhodes. Everything on the line. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 was WWE's biggest main event in years. Cody had spent the last year proving himself, delivering high-profile performances, including his unforgettable showing inside Hell in a Cell with a torn pec. Roman, on the other hand, was nearing 1,000 days as champion, with the Bloodline still dominant by his side. The match itself? A spectacle. Cody came within inches of finishing his story multiple times, with the crowd on fire for every near fall. But the numbers game proved too much. Solo Sikoa, after being ejected earlier, returned when it mattered most. A well-timed Samoan spike allowed Reigns to land one final spear, crushing Cody's dreams and solidifying another chapter in his dominant reign. Roman Reigns' appearances were once again staggered, with his final title defense of 2023 coming 3 months after SummerSlam at Crown Jewel. This time, he faced LA Knight, who had surged in popularity during Reigns' absence. The match was solid, but the outcome was never in doubt. At the Royal Rumble, Roman and the Bloodline found themselves at odds with too many enemies. The match, a fatal 4-way, featured a returning Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. While the match had its moments, it could have been better. For the second consecutive year, Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble and pointed at Roman Reigns, signaling a potential WrestleMania showdown. But then came the twist. A few weeks before WrestleMania, during WWE's Day 1 event, The Rock returned. As he wrapped up his segment, he posed a game-changing question. Should he sit at the head of the table? Cody had won the Rumble, pointed at Roman, and confronted him on SmackDown. But instead of challenging him at WrestleMania, he gave up his shot at redemption for The Rock. The internet erupted. A large portion of the audience felt Cody was being pushed aside for another Bloodline match, leading to two major concerns. One, the match would be for the title, and two, it meant another year of Roman's dominance. Hashtags like #We Want Cody trended, and WWE's YouTube video received mass dislikes. The best part about a mess? It can be cleaned up. WWE pivoted, using the 2-night WrestleMania format effectively. Roman and Rock framed their match not as a rivalry, but as a power struggle between two of WWE's elite. Meanwhile, Cody found himself at a crossroads. As he deliberated, Seth Rollins stepped into the mix, making an enemy out of The Rock as well. Cody ultimately refused to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WWE's press event. Instead, he insulted Roman's family, and by extension The Rock's. Tensions escalated, and Rollins told Cody that he was uniquely suited to be his shield at WrestleMania. Given their history, the phrase carried weight. The Rock's transformation was awe-inspiring. Cody challenged The Rock to a one-on-one match, which The Rock rejected, countering with a tag team proposal: Roman and The Rock versus Cody and Rollins. The stipulation: if Cody's team won, Night 2 would be a fair fight, free of Bloodline interference. If The Rock's team won, the main event would be under Bloodline rules. To raise the stakes, WWE added another condition. If Cody lost, he would never get another shot at the Undisputed Championship. The Rock made things personal, dragging Rhodes' mother into the story, delivering a rock concert, and leaving Cody a bloodied mess on the final Raw before WrestleMania. Rollins, meanwhile, teased a plan B. His World Heavyweight Championship reign had been a direct response to Roman's dominance, and his history with the Shield made his intentions unpredictable. All the while, he had Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre chasing him for the title and was battling a legitimate knee injury. Would Seth turn? Could Cody finally finish his story? Would The Rock pull off another power move? WrestleMania weekend had all the ingredients for an unforgettable showdown. On April 6th, 2024 at Lincoln Financial Field, Roman Reigns walked into his 4th straight WrestleMania as champion, main eventing for a record 9th time. The irony? He was born the same year the first WrestleMania took place, and now he held the record for the most main events. The tag team match delivered on its chaos. Cody and Rollins gave everything they had. But as expected, the match ended. The Rock pinned Cody, making it official. Night 2 would be another uphill battle for the American Nightmare. But Night 2 was where history would be made. Cody and Roman stepped into the ring for the most anticipated main event in years. Their entrances alone would have blown the roof off the place. Interference was inevitable. First, Jey Uso tried to interfere, but was taken out by Jey. Solo stepped in, but was neutralized by John Cena, who was then confronted by The Rock. Just when it seemed like The Rock was about to end Cody's story, once again, the arena went dark and the iconic gong hit. For a moment, no one could believe it, but then he appeared, The Undertaker. In a stunning moment, the Deadman stepped into the ring and stared down the final boss. Without a word, he grabbed The Rock and delivered a thunderous chokeslam, taking him out of the equation. The crowd erupted. Cody had a chance, and he took it. With The Rock gone, it was down to Cody and Roman. He hit Roman with crossroads, then another, and then one final crossroads. 1, 2, 3. The story was finished. Cody Rhodes had finally done it. He defeated Roman Reigns. In that moment, everything changed. The culmination of 1,315 days of dominance was finally here. Cody Rhodes, against all odds, defeated Roman Reigns, ending the greatest championship reign of the modern era. The long road had finally led to this. Cody finishing his story and dethroning the tribal chief in a match that encapsulated everything fans love about professional wrestling. In one of the most emotional moments in WWE history, Cody stood tall, holding the undisputed championship high as WrestleMania 40 came to a close.